There's two options, right? One is that everything from the start of the whole series has been one long manipulation by Sauron. And the other is that Galadriel came upon him by chance, adrift, more than just physically, at the crossroads of his redemption arc, doing the eat, pray, love thing, genuinely trying to change for the better, and the general events of the show and Galadriel's actions in specific lead him back to a path of darkness. Number one, a bajillion years ago, Morgoth gets into a contest of powers with the Valar. As a result, he raises multiple mountain ranges all around Middle-earth. One of these mountains is an inactive volcano called Orodruin in the south.
An ordinary, non-evil volcano.
Normal volcano. Much later, at some point in the First Age, Finrod...
That's Galadriel's brother, right?
He fights in a big battle. At some point after that, Galadriel finds a helmet on a battlefield. Presumably, this is the battlefield of the battle we just saw Finrod fighting in. Also, for some reason, Galadriel is wearing the same dress she was wearing as a child.
I was going to say, like, who goes to a battlefield in a nightie?
And then, in the year 465 of the First Age, according to Tolkien anyway, Finrod dies.
Oh, poor Finrod.
These two events may or may not be connected. To quote Galadriel, he was looking for Sauron, but Sauron found him first. That means that he survived the battle and he went to hunt down Sauron. So the scene of her picking up the helmet doesn't come from the encounter where Finrod died.
Or maybe she thought he was missing at that point.
Like he went missing during the battle?
Yeah. And then she found out later on that, oh, actually he went to chase down Sauron.
Sauron's mark is on Finrod's body. We're putting this here. Was the mark purposely left there for Galadriel to find?
I think, yeah. But I guess it's also like, what was the purpose of doing that?
Was it a casual defilement? Or was it a map that was put there to bring Galadriel to the Southlands that will one day be Mordor thousands of years later?
The second one doesn't, like, it's too much of a leap. I don't think he thought that far ahead.
If it's his mark and he's putting it there, if he's put this mark on Finrod specifically to lure Galadriel, it's because he wants to bring her to the Southlands, because it's a map of the Southlands. But she then looks for him for 1,000 years, and she can't find him. So he can't have wanted her to find him that badly.
Yeah, it really doesn't make sense.
Galadriel decides to hunt Sauron in revenge. Meanwhile, Morgoth, who's basically Sauron's boss, whose strength has waned and he can no longer raise mountains and stuff, he crafts an evil backup plan.
A plan by which to create a realm of their own. A plan to be enacted in the event of Morgoth's defeat by his successor.
A new place where evil can thrive near Tirharad, which was loyal to Morgoth at the time that he made this plan. And it's also nearby a volcano called Orodruin. The plan to create this new place where evil can thrive is to blow up the volcano. In order to blow up the volcano, Morgoth builds a dam across the river near the volcano, or he builds a watchtower near a pre-existing dam. There's a river, there's the Southlands, and there's the volcano, and these are already near each other, and then he builds the dam or finds the dam. But by the wall of the watchtower that's by the dam, by the river, is a statue. There's a statue of somebody being stabbed by a sword. Maybe Morgoth carved this statue, or maybe he told somebody to do it after he died. I don't know. Under the statue has built a mechanism into a stone slab that will open. If you turn it, it will open the spill gate of the dam. So the dam will empty into tunnels that don't exist yet. That will flow to this volcano and ignite it. And in order to open the dam, he forges a sword.
It is a power fashioned for our ancestors by his master's own hand. A beautiful servant. He was lost, but shall return.
This is the sword. He forges a sword to act as a key to unlock the mechanism to open the spill gate, to flow into tunnels that don't exist yet, to ignite the volcano, to create a new country where evil can thrive.
It's a very simple plan. I completely understand it. It's easier to use magic, right?
I mean, he created the mountain to begin with. You think, I don't know.
He should have created a pre-blown up volcano then.
What if, at some point in the thousands of years between his defeat and the start of the show, the river had dried up, or the dam had burst or something?
Yeah, I don't think he thought of that.
So it's after this, and presumably it is because of this, that Morgoth and or Sauron start using the specific evil mark as a symbol. It's either being used on purpose with the express intent of creating a mark for orcs to follow behind and rally behind.
This mark was left as a trail for orcs to follow.
Or it's being left kind of randomly as a general calling card of Sauron's. Or it's a magical signature that he leaves around accidentally.
Even stone cannot hide the mark of one whose very hand is flame unquenched.
It could actually just be accidental. Every time he gets really angry, it just pops up and it burns anything within reach. It could be that.
Okay, so eventually Morgoth is defeated. According to Sauron,
It was as if a great, clenched fist had released its grasp from my neck. I felt the light of the one again, and I knew if ever I was to be forgiven, then I had to heal everything that I had helped ruin.
Sauron's kind of sorry.
I would say more he gave up. Sorry is he gave up and then eventually maybe convinced himself that he was doing it for the good of the world, but he gave up. He got his ass kicked and then he gave up.
If that's true, he never really had any intention to follow this plan.
Yeah, I mean, the person who's the instigator would be the other guy, Adar. He's the one with all the.
Yeah.
I guess Adar at some point discovers this plan and decides to do it himself.
According to Adar,
Sauron devoted himself to healing Middle-earth, bringing its ruined lands together in perfect order.
Yeah.
That's not what a hammer looks like.
No, that is not what it looks like at all.
Sauron bade Adar and the orcs to follow him far north, but he could not find success no matter how much blood he spilled in its pursuit. Meanwhile, Adar, feeling he had sacrificed enough of his children for Sauron's aspirations, split him open. He kills Sauron. This is presumably in that 1,000-year gap. This is why he disappears for so long. Was getting stabbed part of Sauron's plan?
He might have just given up and he wanted an out. So it's I'll just get this guy, he'll stab me and then I'll just do it on my own. I need research time.
Like someone burning down their own house for the insurance money and then you find them on vacation in the Bahamas.
Yeah, just like that. He was just tired of all of the admin involved with all these orcs and Adar in his constant face all the time. He's just fuck this.
If this mark is about the Southlands plan, which Sauron is not doing anything about, and he's taking the insurance money for the house, when he carved the mark on Galadriel's brother, did he originally want to follow the plan and then he changed his mind?
That's a good question.
Meanwhile, Galadriel's on the hunt.
She's finally changed her clothes.
She finds the mark of Sauron The same mark that was on her brother's body. She finds it in the Forodwaith, so this is her on her hunt.
This is where the orcs gathered after Morgoth's defeat.
And then she's convinced that this mark is evidence that Sauron is still alive now. But we know canonically he did actually leave this mark here before Adar killed him. So, like, she's wrong. This is not proof that he's still alive.
Yeah, it's just like a sign that he's used the symbol before. She now has evidence of 2 symbols, is what she has.
The plan for the Southlands was in case of Morgoth's defeat. Morgoth was defeated, and Sauron was trying a whole different plan. He was trying an un-Southlands related plan, but he still left the mark of Morgoth's Southlands plan there.
That doesn't make sense. Because like at that point, he'd essentially like given that up to do his own thing with like the magic and the trying to forge something. Unless that symbol is actually magical in some way.
Her quote is,
Even stone cannot hide the mark of one whose very hand is flame unquenched.
that makes it sound like an accident, right? Like he didn't leave it there on purpose.
Yeah, it goes back to that thing I was saying about the hand. Like he just has like this infection.
And she says,
This mark was left as a trail for orcs to follow.
that means it was left there on purpose as a purposeful signpost to draw orcs to the Forodwaith. And if its main purpose is as a signpost, why was it on her brother?
Like maybe he was on the way. It's like, yeah, find his body here.
I guess stuff can be 2 things. So, at some point, Sauron is re-embodied as Halbrand.
In season 2, you can have that same post-it, but then like put on a little wig on him.
Adar, who thinks that he's killed Sauron, is still trying to enact Morgoth's plan. He's got orcs digging tunnels. How do you draw a tunnel? I'm just gonna draw a hole so that water can flow from the dam into the volcano. He's also got the orcs looking for the sword, which at some point has gone missing. There's a dude in the Southlands named Valdreg. He's the Southland leader of the Leopards Eating People's Faces party. And he's got the magic sword, which also has the mark on it. He's got it hidden like under his barn. And he's presumably told where it is because the orcs like came to get it, basically, right?
It would make much more sense if it was a family heirloom. So for like thousands of years, it's been a secret in his family, like this sword goes from father to son or whatever.
He like works in a pub though.
Yeah. Well, maybe at first they were like high-ranking military officials and then, the family honor or whatnot.
Meanwhile, Galadriel's on her way to Valinor, jumps off the boat, decides to continue her quest because she sees her brother's dagger and it inspires her, right? The dagger was left on her brother's body by Sauron, presumably. This points to the entire thing being a manipulation.
It does seem that way.
She jumps into the water. Halbrand, who's been re-embodied, they meet there. Floating in the ocean near Valinor. In the Silmarillion, I think, Sauron had a moment of genuine repentance, apparently. He was called before the Valar, basically for judgment. After the fall of Morgoth, he was genuinely going to go, and he was genuinely repentant, and then he chickened out before he got there. Everything else aside, if this was the moment that we found him at in the show, I feel like that would make sense. It would make sense for his character arc. It would also place him at near Valinor. It would place him at a sort of moral crossroads and a position of weakness, a position of defeat, and trying to figure out what was new for him. And he'd like just tried to almost do the right thing, but chickened out and realized he wasn't that person. But if he just came back to life after being stabbed by Adar, then he didn't just chicken out from going to see the Valar.
The only good thing that I can remember that he ever did, genuine, like a good person would do, was saving Galadriel. She was falling into the water and like he saved her. That's the only non-self-serving thing that he ever did in the show. So it could be he was still feeling repentant, like he still wanted kind of a little bit to not kill people.
How did she accidentally meet him in the middle of the ocean? Was he controlling the sea serpent? Did that happen by accident? Is he pulling all the strings here, or is he being swept along by a confluence of events not of his own making? Like, it's dumb if it's not part of his plan. It's fucking ridiculous if it's not part of his plan.
Because ultimately, like, where was he going anyway? He wasn't by himself. All those other people were on the boat with him. So it's not like they were going to Valinor.
At least in my mind, the thing is, if there was any chance she could have actually have died there, he wins way more by taking Galadriel off the board as a threat than he does from, like, leaving her alive but trying to briefly trick her.
And like, I guess, would you say he risked his life? Why would he go through all this trouble for Galadriel? Assuming it is a manipulation, like, why? In the show, we haven't seen her being, like, powerful. She's not some queen. She's not like the queen of some elven land. She's not like a witch. She's not powerful. She's a great warrior. But other than that, and he is a magical being. Why does he need?
Maybe he thinks she's hot.
It could be.
So Halbrand he has like a sigil that announces him to be the supposedly long-lost king of the Southlands, which is the location of Morgoth's evil backup plan. He never says it's his. He never lies. He's like, oh, I took it off a corpse, which is probably true. But Galadriel, like, sees it, and with literally zero evidence, assumes it means that he is the king of this long-lost place. Sauron's mention that the orcs drove him from the Southlands is what directly prompts Galadriel to spend the rest of the show wanting to go to the Southlands and to continue her hunt for Sauron.
The way I see it, it wasn't elves that chased me from my homeland. It was orcs.
Are you going to tell me where the enemy is or not?
The Southlands.
It seems like everything he's been doing has been beckoning her to the Southlands. Why does she think it's proof that Sauron's there? Because she's wrong, either way. He's not there. They're not under his command. They're under Adar's command.
Yeah, because like by her logic, if she's saying, okay, if there are orcs in a place, that means Sauron is in that place. That place in the beginning, by her logic, she should have stayed there to wait for Sauron. Like maybe he had gone to get some milk.
They get picked up by the Numenorians, which I think is fine. This is a relatively nearby empire, like sea empire with a really huge fleet. I don't mind the idea that like they drift around and get picked up by the Numenorians. That's fine. In the books, Sauron gets captured by the Numenorians and uses that chance to manipulate the people into trusting him. And eventually he convinces them to like wage war on the Valar, which is basically like trying to fight God. This is what causes the downfall of Numenor. Keeping all this in mind, did Sauron put himself in this position to get himself picked up by the Numenorians? And if so, why didn't he actually do anything damaging to the Numenorian state while he was there?
Well, he beats up like 2 people. I don't think Numenor allows people to just rock up. So if he's like shipwrecked, because the sea is always right, they probably let him in briefly. And then once he's there, it seemed like he genuinely wanted to stay.
If he wanted to stay just so he could live a quiet life and turn over a new leaf and like work in a forge and do his eat, pray, love thing, she convinced him against his better judgment to leave. But if he was there to get revenge, wouldn't he have fought a little harder to stay? If he's this great manipulator, he failed.
Yeah, this version of Sauron like gives up quite a bit. He gave up on Morgoth. He gives up on his own plans.
One of the things he says to her after they arrive is,
I have been searching for my peace for longer than you know. Please, for both our sakes, let me keep it.
I feel like that's a man saying, don't put me back on my bullshit or I swear to God I'll kill everyone in this room. Does she push him out of his redemption arc?
I'm here to start anew.
Lend me that chance.
This is to a bunch of random human people who don't know shit from shit.
Until you've earned your guild quest, you can't forge steel in Numenor.
When he beats up all those guys in an alley, they're acting like dicks, but he only seems to get angry once they start to insult Galadriel. He tries to de-escalate the fight as if he's genuinely not looking for violence.
Take it. I don't want any trouble.
He ends up in jail, right? So I guess like, he makes things worse for himself. Like if he wants to stay.
If he wants to manipulate the Numenorians, why do something that gets him in trouble?
Maybe he just wanted to see what it was like, and he saw it and he's like, never mind.
So meanwhile, while they're there, Galadriel in Numenor finds that map in the archives.
The account of a human spy retrieved from an enemy dungeon. He drew this to record the tower's location.
This is no sigil.
Sauron's mark is a map to the Southlands, and she realizes this, the place that Halbrand is now claiming to be from.
And where did the enemy head next?
Further south, I should think. Towards the watchtower of Osterith.
And appearing to be the king of, she goes to the Hall of Records to look for the seal on Halbrand's necklace. And the records confirm to her that he's the king of the Southlands. I keep coming back to this. If he's going for a redemption arc and not trying to manipulate her, if he's not specifically trying to manipulate someone into bringing him to the Southlands, to the area that he could presumably walk back to on his own,
Yeah.
why does he have the necklace?
He has it openly, like he displays it. This is not like it's on his neck, right? So he definitely wants people to see it. It makes me think again of the people in the boat. Maybe he convinced those boat people that he was also king.
Like maybe he was using it to get humans to do what he wanted for a little while.
He's a grifter.
But if it's there to manipulate Galadriel, why does he keep denying this? Because she's like in his corner from note 1.
Yeah, from the very beginning. You look like a king to me.
Your people have no king, for you are him.
It's an odd thing to say to a man in a cage.
A cage you have landed in because you chafe under the rags of the common.
But right up until they leave Numenor, he's resisting. He seems to like his job forging shit in Numenor, which is somehow a job he has, in spite of having been thrown in jail for like killing a few people in an alleyway.
Maybe she would have thought, oh, it's too easy. Like a normal, rational person wouldn't want to go into a war zone. The King of the Southlands is like a dead title, so it's not like he's going back to a castle or anything. So I guess it makes it like that hesitancy. It kind of makes sense.
Okay, so he's almost trying like a reverse psychology type of thing.
You used me. After I all but begged you to let me be.
But they're about to send Galadriel off in a boat, and Sauron is staying behind.
Then the queen lady was like, she was convinced by the flowers of the tree.
Was that also part of his plan?
Maybe he didn't want to go to the Southlands without an army. Because like you're saying, if Galadriel she was going, but she was going alone. So maybe he did want to go, but like with an army.
I have just convinced Numenor to send 5 ships and 500 men to aid your people and place a crown upon your head.
But he doesn't stay in the Southlands to be the king.
Yeah.
And the whole Morgoth plan happens because of Adar. He doesn't have anything to do with it. So why does he need to be? Why?
What is his goal ultimately? Do you think he wanted to meet Adar again? Like a sort of like a round 2 sort of thing.
Right.
So like now he has an army to defeat the orcs.
Well, like, but then he rides off to Eregia. He leaves the army behind. He doesn't stick around long enough to be king.
It does not make sense. I don't know either.
So Adar's orcs are still hunting for the magic sword. They attack the villagers multiple times to get it. Valdreg, who's basically acting like your local QAnon conspiracy theorist, tells Theo that the sword is a
power fashioned for our ancestors by his master's own hand.
Galadriel straight up lies to the Numenorians in order to force Halbrand to do what she wants.
Galadriel informed us of your aspiration to unite your people.
Which is a kind of shitty thing to do. He takes off the badge with the heraldry of the Southlands on it and throws it down. He also says,
"You're asking me to go to the one place that I swore never to return."
And she says,
"There is no peace to be found for you here. No lasting peace in any path, but that which lies across the sea."
And he seems genuinely distraught at this.
I don't want it.
Do you think the writers were just hedging their bets? Do you think the writers know which one it is?
It might be the actor, right? And then the writers went back and was like, oh, we didn't really mean for Sauron to come across as empathetic and sympathetic, but like, do you? It's okay.
So they all leave together. They arrive in the Southlands. Sauron wants to kill Adar. Galadriel stops him. And he stops Galadriel from killing Adar later.
Unless you pulled me back first.
Does he actually care about her, or does he just want the chance to kill Adar himself later? Or is it like, por qué no los dos?
Whatever it was he did to you, be free of it.
Like they were sitting on a log, him and Galadriel, and then he says something like, "Did you feel that moment?" And then she was like, "Yeah, I felt it." It felt kind of romantic almost. So I don't know what they were going for.
It explains a lot of this general stupidity away.
Yeah.
Fighting at your side, if I could just hold on to that feeling.
I felt it too.
This whole exchange seems genuine.
Yeah.
So if that's genuine, then they get back to the village and a villager asks Halbrand, like, "Are you the king that was promised?" And then Arondir's like, "Men of the Southlands have awaited this moment for a long time."
One day, our true king will return.
Galadriel replies, "Not nearly so long as the elves. The elves have awaited this?" That no, they haven't. What random king of men in the Southlands were the elves awaiting this entire time?
Yeah, I mean, she didn't even recognize the symbol, right? When she first saw it, like she had to go to a library to check it. So how can she say they've been waiting?
Around your neck. Is that the mark of your people's king?
This is another thing. The elves are watching over this place because it used to be in allegiance to Morgoth. So, from their perspective, as people who are still there occupying the land, why would the heir to this line be a good person that they want to have return?
Wouldn't the king of the Southlands be the one who signed the pact with Morgoth anyway?
For it was my family that lost the war.
And it was mine who started it.
Sauron has now either accidentally or on purpose become king of the Southlands, and it has nothing to do with the Morgoth dam volcano sword explosion orc plan. It's unrelated and completely irrelevant to that. Meanwhile, Valdreg steals the sword and he like puts it in the key and the dam and the boo and the water and the mountain goes boom, right? Which again had nothing to do with Halbrand. Halbrand gets injured so badly he needs Elvish medicine. He's not like poisoned and the elves are the only people who can fix the poison. He has a physical wound and it's so bad that he needs Elvish medicine from 500 miles away. And he can ride on a horse for 500 miles in order to get healed without dying. You know, sort of like a kid who tries to get a fever before like a big test in school or something like that.
He was injured, but really he was probably pretending to be injured. So he really wanted to go to wherever the elves were.
If his ultimate goal is to get to the elves at the end, then why even go to the Southlands? Why not just go to the elves?
That's a very convoluted way of going about it. Like, okay, I'm going to stab her brother and then leave a symbol on him. And then 1,000 years later, I'm going to get there. Like, what?
You're gonna trust me enough in a different body to bring me to the elven kingdom that you don't even live in, that somebody else lives in, and he's gonna be making some rings, and that's what I really want to do. If he did actually get injured and just accidentally needed Elvish healing, and this was not part of his plan, he just really ends up with the elves by accident.
I think it would be funny if he got injured by accident. Because it's like, okay, every time I'm like with Adar, like Adar killed me. Adar killed me by stabbing me. And then the second time he exploded me. So the next time he meets, like they're going to be it's going to be a battle. He's going to be very pissed off. So I like to think.
Should we not go for the answer that we think is more likely, but go for the answer that's funnier? Because we could do that. In Eregion, he says,
Thank you, Galadriel. I'd all but given up. But you believed in me. You pushed me to heights that no one else could have.
which is still him with this narrative of, I was almost doing this one thing, but then you pushed me to do another thing.
I am a bad person.
I am a bad person. And then he says,
I will never forget that. And I'll see to it that no one else does either.
He's gleefully saying that he's been like raised up back to heights he did not know he could reach again. And he's gonna make sure everyone knows it's her fault.
Yeah, it sounds very much like a thread.
She's starting to get suspicious, finally, fucking finally. She goes to the record room and she's like, your line died out long ago. You're not actually that guy. Which fucking, no one was thinking he was this guy except for you. Literally no one else thought he was this guy. But she's like, oh my god, you tricked me. You're not this guy. And then during that confrontation, at the end where he reveals himself.
On the raft, you saved me.
On the raft, you saved me. I wanted to remain in Numenor.
All the chips are down on the table now, right? Why would he still be lying to her? He wanted to remain in Numenor.
It makes her seem terrible.
Then why's he got the whole thing with the Southlands? And that means he really just like literally stumbled into opportunity in Eregion.
Yeah, he's been failing upwards. When he stopped trying is when he started to fail upwards.
Taking all of that into account, when he kills Galadriel's brother 1,000 years ago and carves that mark into his shoulder, was he purposely starting this entire chain of events? I thought working through it would like at least convince me one way or the other. I think I'm more confused than I was when I started.
I know, right? Because I was like, oh, it's clear. It must, well, obviously it's bad writing, but also taking that away. I was like, okay, I think it must be manipulation because he can't accidentally his way all the way to forging the rings.
The question is, will what they do in season 2 be the same thing that was planned in season 1? Or will it be an attempt to like backtrack and pretend that it was XYZ all along?
That's not cool.
You know what also? Ooh, I almost feel kind of bad saying it. I don't know. This entire show was run by two guys who you might say stumbled into like the biggest opportunity of all time. So it might not have seemed weird to them that Sauron could do the same thing.
It's like, write what you know.